So here's a new filing in the Brian Kohberger case. This is the gentleman that's been accused of killing four University of Idaho students in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. They believe they were killed around 4 to 4:25 in the morning in their off-campus housing. And this is a motion requesting release of grand jury materials under qualified protective order. So come now, Brian C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, hereby moves the court for an order to allow for the release of the grand jury material to be disclosed pursuant to qualified protective order as follows. 1. The materials and any and all information contained therein shall be disclosed only to A. all legal counsel representing Brian Kohberger and the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. Further, all persons on Mr. Kohberger's defense team and the Office of Latah County Prosecuting Attorney shall observe the terms of the qualified protective order issued in conjunction with this qualified protective order. B, any expert witness, investigator, or consultant of Brian Kohberger's defense team and the Latah County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for whom access to the materials is necessary to perform a duty with respect to this case. C, any personnel of the court and court reporters retained to record and transcribe testimony in this case. 2, the materials and any and all information contained therein shall be used only for the purposes of litigating this action. And 3, the production of the material shall not constitute a waiver of any privilege or other claim or right of withholding or confidentiality which by Brian Kohberger may have. And this was dated May 19th, 2023. And it was a certificate of delivery to Latah County Prosecutor's Office, Jeff Nye, Deputy Attorney General, Ingrid Beatty, Deputy Attorney General, and Elisa Masseth via I-Court. So there you have it, a new document coming out of the Brian Kohberger case. Also, in addition to the grand jury motion to get the grand jury transcription and to get access to Brian Kohberger's team, they also did a motion to enlarge time to file pretrial motions and memorandum in support. Comes now, Brian C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, hereby moves the court for an order enlarging the time for filing of pretrial motions in this matter. Procedural history. The indictment for the above-style matter was filed on May 16, 2023. Counsel for the defendant filed its initial request for discovery on January 10, 2023. Counsel for the defendants filed motion to make available the records of all proceedings of the grand jury on May 19, 2023. Based on the amount of time it will take to receive and review all grand jury material for this matter, counsel will need additional time to file pretrial motions pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 12. Request. Counsel requests enlargement of time to file pretrial motions of at least 28 days from the receipt of the request grand jury material, other discovery materials previously requested. As of the time of filing this motion to enlarge, counsel for the defendant has not received any of the grand jury materials. The review of such materials are critical to the adequate preparation of the defendant's defense and will cause counsel for the defendant to likely file pretrial motions regarding various evidentiary hearings, challenges to the grand jury, and possible motion to suppress for suppression of evidence. Counsel makes this request for the enlargement of time based on the belief the defendant will be subject to prejudice, harmful error, inadequate defense without the opportunity review grand jury materials prior to the filing of pretrial motions. Based on the foregoing reasons, counsel requests an enlargement of time to file pretrial motions. If argument is required on the matter, the defendant's request 10-minute time slot. Dated May 19th, 2023. Ann-C. Taylor signs this certificate of delivery to Latah County Prosecuting Attorney, Jeff Nye, Deputy Attorney General, Ingrid Beatty, Deputy Attorney General, and Elisa Masseth via iCourt. This is the third motion filed by Brian C. Kohberger and his defense attorney, Ann-C. Taylor. Motion to make available the record for all proceedings of the grand jury pursuant to ICR 6.2. Comes now Brian C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney, Ann-C. Taylor, public defender, hereby moves the court for an order directing the clerk of court to unseal the records and make it available to allow for examination and to allow for preparation of transcription of all of the proceedings conducted by the grand jury in the above entitled matter, except for the deliberation portion of the proceeding. Counsel specifically requests that the following be included in the recording to be provided: a copy of any and all petitions for summonsing a grand jury related to the case or these charges. 2, a copy of any and all order or orders assigning judge related to this case or these charges. 3, a copy of any and all orders to summon jurors and notice of hearing. 4, transcription of the initial seating of the grand jury, which ultimately heard evidence in the case against the defendant. The transcript should include, but not limited to, a list of all prospective jury pool, administration of the oath to the prospective grand jurors, voir dire of prospective grand jurors by the prosecutor and the court, and any questionnaires or instructions given to prospective grand jurors, as well as a list of all persons present. 5, a verbatim transcript of the proceedings in which evidence against defendant was presented to the grand jury, in addition to the record of testimony presented to the grand jury. The transcription should include a record of comments of the court and prosecuting attorney and deputy prosecuting attorney to the grand jury, whether in opening statements or closing remarks or response to questions by the grand jury, and any questions submitted by the grand jury, whether oral or written, as well as a list of all persons present during proceeding. A copy of jury instructions provided to the grand jury who heard the evidence against the defendant. 7, a list of names of the grand jurors who heard the evidence against the defendant. 8, a copy of any and all documents or records and transcripts of any and all proceedings containing information related to the following matter addressed in relevant Idaho criminal rules provided below, if not otherwise already included in the record related to the above. A, the number of grand jurors and presence of quorum per Idaho Criminal Rule 6A. B, the summonsing of grand jury per Criminal Rule 6B. The impaneling of grand jury per Idaho Rule 6C. The grand jury presiding juror oath duties per Criminal Rule 6D. The deputy presiding juror oath and duties per Idaho Criminal Rule 6E. The charges to the jury per Idaho Criminal Rule 6F. The excuses of any juror per Idaho Criminal Rule 6G. Any evidence presented to the grand jury per Idaho Rule 61B1. I. Any inquiry by the prosecutor regarding whether there are any grounds for disqualification of any grand juror per Idaho Criminal Rule 61B2. Any list of elements of offenses provided by the prosecutor per Idaho Criminal Rule 61B3. Any advice given by the prosecutor regarding the standard for probable cause or person's refusal to testify per Idaho Criminal Rule 61B4. Any grand jury subpoena issued or served per Idaho Criminal Rule 61B5. Any operating statements or jury instructions on applicable law provided by the prosecutor, whether oral or written, per Idaho Criminal Rule 61B6. Indictment prepared by the prosecutor for consideration by the grand jury or at the request of the grand jury per Idaho Criminal Rule 61B7. All records proceedings in the case per Idaho Criminal Rule 6.2a. The presence of any and all persons at the time at the grand jury sessions in this case and the permissions for such presence per Idaho Criminal Rule 63a. Q. Any subpoena and subpoena duces tecum issued either by the presiding juror or the prosecutor in this case per Idaho Criminal Rule 6.4a. Any question asked of any witness per Idaho Criminal Rule 6.4b. Any evidence for the defendant requested or ordered to be produced by the grand jury per Idaho Criminal Rule 6.4c. Any returned indictment in this case per Criminal Rule 6.3d. A list of the vote of the grand jurors for each charge per Idaho Criminal Rule 6.5d and 6.5b. All documentation regarding return of no bill pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 6.5e. W. Any and all information, documents, records, or transcripts regarding the grand jury or the indictment subjecting them or it to challenge per Idaho Criminal Rule 6.6 and X. The term of service of the grand jury per Idaho Criminal Rule 6.7. 9. A copy of any and all documents or records and a transcript of any and all proceedings containing matters related to the relevant Idaho statutory provisions contained in Idaho Code Section 19-1002 through 1015, 19-1101 to 1115, Section 19-1201 to 1207, Section 19-1306 to 1308, 1401 to 1418, and 1601, and any other relevant statutes. The motion is based on the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8 and 13 of the Idaho Constitution, and enabling legislation enacted these guarantees. Further, this motion is made on the grounds that the record of said proceedings is necessary for counsel for the defendant to prepare a defense in this matter. Counsel for the defendant further moves the court to order that the cost necessary for the preparation and the completion of the record to be paid at county expense and at no expense to the defense. This request is made on the grounds that the defendant was determined to be indigent and his representation is provided by the Office of the Public Defender of Kootenai County. Leave to present testimony and oral arguments is hereby requested if the court is not otherwise inclined to grant the motion. Request hearing time, 10 minutes. Dated May 19, 2023. Signed by Ann C. Taylor, the Public Defender's Office, and a certificate of delivery to Latah County Prosecutor Attorney Jeff Nye, Deputy Attorney General, Ingrid Beatty, Deputy Attorney General, and Elise Masseth, I-Court. And lastly, there is an order to enlarge time to file pretrial motions. The judge chose not to need hearing or oral argument on the matter and went ahead and granted it, which it is common. And he actually gave the defense 30 days as opposed to the 28 days that were requested. This was ordered on the 19th, and it is signed by the judge, and he did provide it to Kootenai County Public Defender's Office, Latah County Prosecuting Attorney Jeff Nye, Deputy Attorney General, Ingrid Beatty, Deputy Attorney General, and Elise Masseth through I-Court.